Right on the dot. I'm John Miglosh for the WDMA and the International Society for Strategic Marketing. We're up in the North Woods again. I've got a different setup. I got a different light. I've got this LED light with coffee filters as the diffuser. It is so homey, you can't believe it. And we're going to come to you live anyway. It looks like it's working. I can't tell because that's the way it is when you're doing live streaming. If anyone thinks you want to do a marketing news show every day, you're insane. And I'm coming up on my 1 year anniversary in about 3 weeks. So, God bless us everyone, right? So, diving right in, I want to talk about robots in the workplace. Okay, so we've got a Whole Foods, Kroger, Walmart, etc., and they're taking over, right? Robots don't need food, but they do need a recipe for success. And so the grocery store industry is increasing the number of customer-facing robots with some limited success. And we'll talk about that. We're expecting to see about a $3.6 billion investment in artificial technology globally, and that should about quadruple or triple by 2023, okay? Kroger is testing driverless robot delivery cars on the streets, slow moving. They won't kill you. They probably won't kill you unless you're laying down in the street already. Walmart has adapted robots to scan and sort inventory and identify out-of-stock items, which makes a lot of sense, and also do price checking, which is mentioned later in the article, but I'll mention it here. Okay, and Stop and Shop has a pillar-shaped robot named Mary that scopes out the aisles for hazards such as spills and runs price checks, like Walmart also. So it's not just about cutting costs, it's about improving service. We've had a few robot failures. University of Wisconsin. Da, 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 da. We love that in the Wisconsin DMA. 2 degrees. And I learned a lot besides. Anyway, it said that at the University of Wisconsin, students were able to tolerate human error much more than computer error. They did not like when the computer got it wrong, but they forgave the human. Something to remember when the robots are the only ones making the sale. Okay. They also creep shoppers out. In Scotland, shoppers were so turned off by a robot named Fabio, they wouldn't even take free meat. They had it running around the store, and that creeped out everybody. And so then instead they put it in one aisle on sort of the corner, and shoppers avoided that aisle altogether. They don't want to talk to a robot. The robot does not understand them, and they would rather shop online than come visit your store. So be very slow about your talking robots that are guarding your store. Another case, a New York teenager sued Apple because the robot's facial recognition had him arrested, and what had happened was his identity had been stolen by a shoplifter and used it in multiple states. So there was actually a link between his face, which was not on the ID card, and this robot running around the store that apparently tackled him and had him arrested, and then it was clear that he was certainly not it. But just think about that, if you will. Someone steals your identity, and then you're walking through a store and the robot spots you and has you arrested. That's the kind of store I want to visit. Amen. Okay, and it could take your job if you're in the aisles helping out. Scott Adams talked about this a little yesterday. He said, back 150 years ago, if you had the IQ of 80, you could still, take this bag and load it on the wagon. Take this bag and load it on the wagon. Do that all day, right? But now those jobs are being lost. And so there's an underclass that, just can't take it. He illustrated it by talking about a woman who had a, literature degree or something that had little marketability, underwater basket weaving degree, and had run up $500,000 in student debt. And he suggested that she didn't know how to deal with modern reality. I would suggest that her bank should be arrested, or whoever she borrowed the money from. There should, usually there's a test on whether you can pay it back, and they obviously didn't have one. But chose rather to enslave someone that was obviously not the smartest knife in the drawer. Okay, so robots can use their high-paced monitoring to scan and gauge price tags and check accuracy. That obviously makes a lot of sense. In Lowe's, they are taking shoppers to items that they would like. I would always like to see us, or in those big boxes, a GPS, like it does through the highway, will help me to walk to the right aisle, or at least get in the neighborhood, for heaven's sakes. Last time I was in Menards, I was walking all over the store with help. And it's amazing to me where things, there'll be like shower heads will be in one place and faucets will be in a totally different, like across the department over several aisles away. And so they do the grunt work, and again, that is an issue if you have an 80 IQ. So a very, very excellent article. I really liked it. Okay, free returns are mounting up. Oh, before we do that, let's move over to BurgerKing. I enjoyed this idea when there's scorching heat in Kuwait. What they've done is, well, let me show you.
كل شيء حر.
It's one of the weirdest things is that the windows, and I'm going to get to the properties. This is going to take a bit. Properties. It swaps the red and blue, and I don't know quite why, but it'll mess up the BurgerKing logo, so we'll fix that. Okay, here we go again.
47 صارت 47. يلا برجر كينج.
يا ريت يعرضونها العرض كل صيف.
يقولون الحر ما له حل. هذا كان قبل برجر كينج.
لعبتها صح.
العرض هنا. مع الجو هذا ما يبي له الا ملك شيك. اي والله.
I think that is fantastic. Again, where else will you hear this kind of stuff? Nowhere else but on 10 at 10. Now we got to get back to the real news. Okay, so we've got this return problem. Customers order several different sizes and try them on at home. Is reducing your return rate even possible? And if you have low margins, you're dead. And notice this, and this is where we should be learning on the online channels. We should be learning from companies like Lands' End, who've been doing this literally for years. They don't give you free returns. They make you pay. They give you a nice envelope. It's all very easy to do, but you got to take it to the post office and pay, right? So happy to take it. We'll give you full credit usually for the items, but you got to pay for returns. Can you reduce it? Absolutely, you can reduce it. Give a little bit of cost, right? And Lands' End is very good about getting their sizes right. They don't always. I bought some cotton turtlenecks and some, I don't know, some kind of synthetic, kind of like Under Armour turtlenecks. And they were, the Under Armour ones, of course, didn't shrink. And so they should have been sized smaller, but they weren't. And that did cause problems, and they solved it all for me. But what you'll figure out is that 20% of your customers will produce 90% of your returns. It's the old Pareto principle. And if you are willy-nilly letting those customers abuse you, taking away the margin of your good customers, you are damaging your good customers. Take that into account. Don't allow any kind of crummy returns for no good reason. Okay, and here was an interesting article on why failure helps create better marketers. Didn't have much to say. Basically said you need to take chances. So which brings us to valid tests. Here was a scenario. The usual response rate for a customer were between 0.3 and 0.5% range. The test sample sizes were 25,000. If a particular cell got 130 responses, 0.52, it was deemed to have beaten a test cell that received 110. Okay? First time I heard that, I said, that is not a statistically valid, significant difference at a 25,000 test. That's exactly what he goes on to say. But let me show you the interesting part. And he says, we should have tested a larger sample. Absolutely, retest, no problem. Failure's fine, retest, okay? Bigger sample sizes. We usually have 100,000, those kind of tests. But anyway, now he says, you want to get 250 responses. See, when I was trained in B2B, we said you want to target 50 responses. But actually, the math works totally different. I'm sorry, let's see who this is here. Chuck, you got the math wrong. And I'm a philosopher. If it takes you 100,000 pieces to get 250 orders, your certainty is almost 100%. But if it takes you 10,000 pieces to get 250 orders, your uncertainty is 20%. You're only 80% certain. The bottom denominator determines how many orders it takes for certainty. If you have a small universe and you get a minuscule response, you have a high certainty. If you have a small universe and you get a high number of responses, you have a high uncertainty.